Hi, this is Daniela Wolf with Bestie Life, the podcast, and this is your community to support you through the little and not so little events that make up your day-to-day life. From the I've got this moments to the I just can't moments. We are here to empower all women to find and develop the skills they need to find peace, balance, and the bliss in their busy. Through solo episodes as well as interviews with amazing women who share their journey and their story and how it works for you. I hope you find the inspirations to make you laugh, think, as well as maybe rethink what you thought you knew, and connect as we realize that we are all living similar ups and downs and don't have to do it alone. So excited for you to hear this episode, and thanks so much for joining me today. Hi, this is Daniela with Bestie Life, the podcast. In today's episode, it's going to be probably a little bit shorter than some of my typical episodes, but it is so mighty and packed with information because we are going to be diving into a topic that is near and dear to my heart, which is prioritizing your emotional self-investment. And what I mean by this is, a lot of times we can spend so much time and money and energy on improving our physical health, whether that's through buying healthy foods, getting a gym membership, buying certain types of clothes and things like that. But what about nurturing our emotional well-being? And that's what I really want to dive into and unpack with you during this episode, as far as re-looking at what are you consuming for your emotional health and well-being? How are you investing in yourself emotionally? And how does that benefit you? And what's the role that some of these different areas can really play in your day-to-day well-being? So let's dive right in and get started. So you've probably heard the phrase, you are what you eat. I can remember even like a little Saturday morning cartoon skit that used to come on in between cartoons as far as talking about the kind of foods that we eat and the impact that healthier foods can have on our physical health. But it really is also true when it comes to our emotional well-being. What we consume, what we take in, also can have a huge effect on us. And so just like you might choose an apple over a bag of chips, investing in your physical health and well-being, making choices that are going to positively impact your emotional well-being is also an important investment. And sometimes, you might think about, well, how do I do that? You might be listening and not sure, what does that look like? How do we start? I'm definitely going to tell you. So first, let's start with food. Let's start with your diet. Like I said, we talked about your physical diet, the foods you eat. You might buy things that are more organic, or you just might choose healthy fruits, vegetables, cooking at home over processed and packaged and things in order to avoid, some junk foods, in order to stay clear of those things that don't make you physically healthy or physically feel good, but you should also learn how to stay clear of that emotional junk food. And what this can look like is cutting down maybe on some of the negativity and drama that you're around, increasing positivity, whether it's on your own, doing some positive affirmations, statements through journaling, or just even looking at the people that you're surrounding yourself with. If there's some toxicity involved with some of those individuals, like I said, if they're the ones bringing in the drama, or if you're really putting yourself around people who are going to uplift you, and finding ways to limit those that are going to drain your energy, because that emotional diet is going to be crucial for your overall well-being. You can be physically fit, but emotionally, if you are stuck in that place of negativity and that type of thing, it's going to have just as negative an impact as if you were eating unhealthy. It'll affect your heart. It'll affect your stress, which can in turn affect your sleep, all those other types of things. And I know this can be hard, especially with the holidays coming up, whether it is your physical food diet, your emotional diet, as far as who we're around, because sometimes the holidays involve being around people, family can be some of those toxic, negative individuals that we have to be around. And so I actually have an awesome seminar coming up in November. It's on Thursday, November 16th at 4:30, and it's Unwrapping Your Best Self, Simple Self-Care Strategies for the Holidays, because I think there is some of that extra pressure or temptation or circumstance that can put us in a situation where we're not consuming as healthily as we may typically do so on a day-to-day basis, whether that's with our food or our relationships. So you're definitely going to want to watch out for that and get yourself a free ticket to that. The next thing when it comes to your emotional investment is looking at kind of your overall spirit, your peace of mind. And I know so many individuals, they know the importance of physical fitness and well-being. I always talk about integrating movement as a part of your self-care because it doesn't always need to be an intense gym style workout, but some kind of physical movement every day obviously has so many benefits for your overall well-being. But what about then that kind of gym for your soul? And it might not involve weights and treadmills, but it's so important. And it could involve that physical movement like yoga and meditation or a daily walk in the park. But that movement has so many emotional benefits, and recognizing that and treating it like your daily workout so that you can get that recharge, that clear mindset. I know for me, like when I go for a walk, I leave my phone at home so that is my time to get lost in my thoughts, to clear my head. I get so many amazing ideas when I'm out walking, and I love being able to just have that free creative process. And so recognizing how important physical movement is not only for your body and staying toned and in shape, but also to emotionally stay grounded, stay calm, and stay in shape in that way as well. And the last one, like I said, I mentioned clothes in the beginning, has to do with your wardrobe, and not just necessarily the sweatpants you're putting on or the sweater, but also just how you are kind of dressing your emotions. Because just like I talk about when I say how you dress is a part of your self-care, because it brings your confidence, it brings your energy, putting on kind of a positive attitude also can enhance your emotional well-being. Our mindset, when we walk into a situation, and if we're looking at the glass half empty versus half full, it's going to then impact our response to that situation, how we talk about it, how we perceive and view it, as well as how we then share it with others. And so when you choose to see the silver lining in a situation, which can be incredibly hard in some situations, but even in challenging situations, it really does help to nurture your overall mindset and well-being and perspective, because you don't see yourself as a victim. You feel empowered in your situation. You feel like you have some control over some part of it, or are able to then at least leave with that positive mindset, because ultimately what it does is it kind of fills up your emotional piggy bank. And so just like you save money for a rainy day, when you invest in your emotional well-being, it's not just a quick one and done and you're set for the week. You keep investing. So by doing things you love on a regular basis, whether it's self-care, doing a hobby or passion that you enjoy, spending time with people that light you up, taking time for that movement, creating calm in your home, all those different types of self-care, even every moment spent in that self-investment is like a deposit into that emotional piggy bank. And it's going to then help you so that not just at that moment when you're doing the activity, but later on when something happens, life crops up with something that could easily make you irritable, snap, those types of things, you can then pull from that emotional investment to respond in a calm way, to be able to cope and handle things. When I talk about balance, I always talk about your ability to adapt and pivot and have that resilience. And that's where that comes from. That's how you find that balance in those tough situations, that calm in the storm and those types of things. Because the return on investment of that emotional investment, and I think, so many times when I've talked about burnout prevention and self-care, it's not as tangible maybe as you've lost 10 pounds, you've made $10,000. The ROI of the emotional investment, like when you prioritize your emotional well-being, it's a little bit less tangible, but it is so powerful, the impact that it has. You'll have that increased resilience. You'll have those improved relationships. You'll have a more positive outlook on life. And those benefits are really immeasurable and long lasting and have that greater ripple effect to the people around you. There's that very common quote, you can't pour from an empty cup. And that's where that return on investment is what you're producing back out, whether it's at your job, you're going to be more productive, you're going to be more creative, you're going to possibly then also make more money in your business, say, because you've invested in yourself. I put a quote on my social media the other day. It was by Jim Rohn, and it says, if you work hard on your job, you can make a living, which is fine. But if you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune, which is super fine. And I think that's kind of the point of all of this, is to really recognize that even when it's tough to see the path forward or the patterns we've fallen into, that by making some of these simple pivots in first our mindset, and then maybe looking at our time, as well as then our actions and how we implement them, is how we then start to see that bigger ROI, that bigger benefit of all these things that we're doing. And sometimes it can be hard to see that on our own. So hopefully you've taken a little time during this episode, or you're going to pause and be able to kind of think in each of those areas, even what are you investing in yourself when it comes to your emotional well-being? What kind of diet are you putting in as far as what you're reading, what you're listening to, who you're around? How are you dressing your emotions, as well as then physically, how are you taking care of yourself emotionally in all those ways? And like I said, if it's hard to see on your own, this is where having the right support can make all the difference. When I work with my clients, I really help them break down those blocks and shifts their mindsets so they can so that you can start to restructure your time and your tasks in order to really seamlessly integrate then this self-care into your lives, that emotional investment every single day throughout your day, all while preventing burnout and creating that sustainable balance without adding any extra work or time to your already stretched day. And so if you're really ready to take that step towards living a burnout-free life, I invite you to grab your spot in the Exhausted to Empowered formula. You can go check it out on my website. It's under the Work With Me tab in the top. And, it really is such a great solution to all these pieces that in the course of a busy day in a busy life can kind of get lost or feel overwhelming or feel like they're just one more thing to do. But when you're not alone in this journey and we're working together, we can really break down those barriers and create a life where that self-care and well-being physically, emotionally, are really seamlessly woven into your daily routine. And so this is your opportunity to make a positive change. And it's not about adding more to your plate, but about really finding that balance and prioritizing your well-being. So head on over to my website on www.bestilife.com. Under the Work With Me tab, look at the Exhausted to Empowered formula and really take that first step towards a happier, healthier you, as well as then the impact on your family, your job, your business, and all those benefits. But ultimately, leave with this one piece of information, this one nugget for you. Just as you invest in your physical well-being with healthy foods, gym memberships, nice clothes, all those things that you kind of put on the outside, when you prioritize investing in yourself internally and your emotions and your feelings, this is the foundation upon which you're really going to build a fulfilling and happy life. So I'm here for you. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. So much again for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please let me know any questions or comments that you have. Also, if you can please leave an Apple 5-star review so that this episode can be shared with more women. There's 2 quotes that I love. Alone we may be strong, but together we are stronger, as well as when women support each other, incredible things happen. So let's be stronger and incredible together, as well as maybe just have some fun along the way. Thanks so much and talk to you soon. Bye.